Adivina kaofela. Nilikuwa nakuja kwa sherehe alikuwa I meet Alexandra meet Nelson Mandela.
So, yeah, when it comes to the question of how did we end up with this discrepancy between a place like Alex and a place like Sandton, for me, as someone who worked in Sandton for 7 months, being an attorney, being qualified, university level person, I got to see the dark side of Sandton when it comes to trying to keep up with the lifestyle, trying to work your way up into those spaces when those spaces, for the most part, in my opinion, are built to keep you out.
I'm a traditional healer. I heal people. I'm also a community activist. I'm involved in politics, social development, religious gatherings. We try and mobilize and conscientize people, about Africanism and what's happening in the world and in government.
I mean, these are spaces that have made their money, they've got their power, and it's all about exploiting whoever they can to maintain it. Of course, this doesn't account for everyone, but what I saw really is just that it's a system that perpetuates the suffering of the people in places like Alex because those people, being the workforce, give their all. They need that work, but no part of the process, no part of the opportunities offered to them are about enriching them in a way that would, create access to the Sandton lifestyle.
Looking at the situation of Alex, being next to Sandton, one of the biggest square mile in Africa, there are so many restrictions because only the rich live on the other side, in Sandton, and most people who are the working force live in Alex.
And I'm speaking about this as someone who is not from Alex. I have not lived in Alex, but I was already working at a level that many people would consider as much better and much higher than anyone in Alex at the time. And I got to see this, that it's a grueling, intense landscape to be a part of, and it's built to keep you out as much as possible.
Looking at the situation in Alex, it's slowly deteriorating each and every day. And yes, there are initiatives that government tries to do, but for me, they are not informed. They are not what it's needed on the ground. And at the same time, the very same people that are given these projects to run are also politicians. So that's why there's so much corruption. There was $1 billion investment in Alex, from the first president to the second president to the third president, to develop Alex. But there's nothing to show, And when you look on the other side of the freeway, which is Sandton, there's so much. And even now, there's a $1 billion development project, from Africa Mall up until Joburg. Nothing in that plan or program includes Alex.
There are basic needs that they're trying to cover through working in Sandton, and that's about it. Day in and day out, toiling for the big man. And on the other side, you've got people like me who worked in Sandton, mid-range in that respect. It was difficult as hell, and I gave up because of that reason. I was just not willing to give away my health and my youth trying to chase that Sandton dream. It's really our little New York, if I could put it that way. It's the dream that so many people try to chase, not realizing that it exists in the hands of a very greedy, lucky few, and they'll do anything to hold on to that. And one thing that they're absolutely not going to do is give it to the people in Alex. That's not where the power or the money is going to be shared. And yet, that would be the most effective way, is to build up that community with a concerted effort to make it better. But there's a reluctance to do so.
Look how close we are. We are separated by a street. But if you move from here to the other side, it's a totally different world. You've been asked by police, well, what do you want? For me, it's very much unfair.
My hallelujah belongs to you. 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 You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Oh, you deserve it. Oh, you deserve. You deserve. You deserve. You deserve. You deserve. When ANC got into power, we had to pay like millions that the apartheid government was in debt. Our government had to pay that. So what about us? Like, we need art centers around the township, but obvious, if you know that politically inclined, you're gonna say, the government is chowing money. But what about the debt that we've been paying? Even now, 500 billion for Corona. Who's gonna pay the debt? You know, so like again for me, it's like colonization is coming in new faces now, you know.
It's fascinating thing I think about places like Sandton and Alex is it goes really back to why they were founded as places in the first place. So Alex is younger than Sandton. And the funny story about that is that Alex was established as a white neighborhood actually by a farmer shortly after Sandton was there and sort of reclassified as a black neighborhood sort of in the early 1910s.
I grew up here. I'm in love with this township. I guess that's the reason I'm still here. Why I'm saying this is because I'm my undergraduate. I did finance from the University of Joburg, and then postgrad I did digital arts honors, and then again with Vets Business School I did a leadership management course.
What happens when you have a place across the road from you that is super rich and has all of the quaternary services is that a lot of the people that are from the poorer neighborhood will be financing what Sandton ends up looking like as we know it today. But the story of Alex is also pretty similar to the story of townships all over the country, where you have this big working class of people that are responsible for doing the bulk of the work, whether it is quaternary service or whether it is manual labor, to keep these economic centers functioning in the way that they are.
I don't want to spend the rest of my life here. So like what I'm doing here, it's like, this is my gallery, Kuala Arts Gallery. It's like giving back to the community, and it's like something, a legacy for myself and my family. Yeah, and as I said, I'm in Alexandra Township, and Alexandra is more of a community, and I'm not alone here. I'm with the guys, Alexandra Arts Collective.
You have a government that changes, but the services that people get in these neighborhoods don't change very much. So this continuous, if I can call it, misfortune of having segregation and then doubled up with a government that is prioritizing filling their own pockets is an incredible sad thing in the way that it manifests with how you see the world right now.
Hello, my name is Raymond Rampulukeng. I'm the owner of Bay of Grace Tours. I'm based in Soweto. I've been asked to give my opinion on the difference between Sandton and Soweto, which is a big task to deliver. An apartheid structure which was designed to separate black from white, rich from poor. And we are seeing these disparities still existing today. The lack of opportunities on the majority of the black South Africans, and also our counterparts having more access to resources.
Have you seen an improvement since you've been in Soweto?
I've seen improvements in terms of roads, in terms of street lights, but if I were to collate that on a Richter scale of 1 to 10, it's 10%, Baba. It's 10%. Some of the things were like this during the previous government. ANC is in power, but nothing is happening. You see, I'll give you an example. The last time they built a prison here in Gauteng. It was when, during apartheid, no one has decided to build a prison ever since they took over. But you see, our government is failing. Majority blame goes to government.
Our former president said that you can tell the future of any country by its young people. And that's what we believe in, that we need to lessen the gap between the rich and the poor. Hence, we are also giving our opinion on the special development of Sandton as one of the richest mile in Africa, and Soweto as the most significant township in South Africa, which also was the cornerstone of the liberation of our country. And that also gives us hope that we need to lessen the economical, political, and the generational gap between the two economies in South Africa.
How do we feel about the gap in poverty between Soweto and Sandton, and why do we think it's that way? Why do we think there's such a huge gap in poverty in contrast to these two places?
Okay, number one, apartheid made that to happen, right? Number two, our government is in power. Our people are in power, government, yeah? But they're failing to change that. Instead, what they're doing, they're just pushing their agendas and corruption. So it's going to remain like that until a clear government comes to power and then decides to do the balancing act, right? Give more resources to the people. But also, I can blame the local people. Local people, even if you can give them resources, but it's not like in Sandton. In Sandton, you find a pitch, a football pitch, top. But here, if there's a top pitch, people will vandalize it. So we need to educate our people about what we call inner city regeneration, meaning that they must look after their resources. See, you see in the township, they don't mind to vandalize this thing in order to steal copper. In Sandton, it won't happen because what? People there are educated. So here in the township, there's illiteracy as well. It plays a vital role, and it makes people to be more what? Poor.
Njalo ngeweekend namakenge ami uhlangane karini sidla imali yami usibheke